What is your real-life experience with it's hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's damn near impossible to win an argument with a stupid person? I know someone who legitimately stood up in the middle of a meeting about her child abuse, in the child protection offices, and yelled at everyone the child deserved to be stabbed because she knew not to play Operation So Loud. At that moment in reality, there wasn't anything the child protection officer, her boyfriend, brother and sister, or the grandparent or father could say to her. I don't think there are the words in existence appropriate for that situation. I could only say, couldn't help myself, what the actual fuck? Not well. It went to court, she got partial custody back, against the protests of our child protective services, the police and both families. There's a huge prejudice against the father's race in our courts. It's well known, documented, and was pretty obvious by the judge's refusal of submitted evidence and his smirk at the father during his ruling she attacked the kid for narking on her on the very first visit. The judge still insisted the mother get at least some custody, so it's now at 1 day a week instead of split weeks. As punishment for narking on her again, she's now taken away the kid's room, bed, the majority of toys and clothing, and the lawyer for child's office gets a call once a fortnight or so about the last set of abuse she's delivered. And no one can do anything because you legally can't appeal family court decisions. I seriously hate my country some days. Reddit has a boner for NZ because for most of us our interaction with the country has been their leader not being Trump between Christchurch and COVID, but it is very far from perfect. Nowhere's perfect, but when I hear about the political crises and outrages back in my native country it makes me homesick. For example, everyone in my family is outraged at the homelessness crisis in Dublin. Here I am in Los Angeles, where a Dublin-sized homelessness problem would represent a massive improvement. I don't know how many child and family team meetings I've attended that devolved into a shouting match when someone is told they need anger management. I always wanted to record the outburst to play back later as an explanation of exactly they think there might be an anger problem. My mom's entire argument tactic was to interrupt the other person as soon as they opened their mouth. It didn't matter if you were calm and reasonable and respectful. The moment sound came out of you, she would come in with greater volume. She usually didn't have much to say, so she would literally repeat herself just to interrupt you. Even if you paused and let her speak, if she was out of stuff to say, she would wait quietly until you try to talk again, then interrupt you with something she already said. She wasn't even subtle about what she was doing. She was prideful about how great of a debater she was. She thought this childish and disrespectful crap actually made her strong and respectable. I don't think she ever realized that she didn't actually win any arguments, but simply wore the other person down until they gave up on a constructive adult conversation with her. It's disrespectful for her to speak over you. It's not disrespectful for you to respond to her intrusion. That's complete cognitive dissonance if I've ever seen it. It's not rude for me to interrupt you, but it's rude for you to defend yourself against it. BS. I am dealing with a housemate who does exactly this, with a wickedly bad temper on top of it. Her boyfriend is an old friend of mine, and I wanted to help them out since they were living in her mom's house last year. I did not know her well at all, and I deeply regret thinking that I could reason with her. She wields her temper like it's a weapon, and anytime you try and express what you or someone else is feeling, she immediately argues and invalidates you. She has told her partner she is going to kill herself in order to win arguments. Oftentimes the things she is spouting as an argument are projections of her behavior or projections of her temper. She does not respect the boundaries of others, but demands that her boundaries be respected in any conversation to find compromise and even ground is met with anger. Her lack of control over her words once she's triggered are some of the meanest, most vitriolic things I've ever heard from anyone. My partner, who was her friend and got her a job at her work, also had her own falling out with this person and now won't come over to my house due to fear of this person's behavior. I am exhausted. I probably have to deal with this for another 2 months. Actually, you probably don't have to live with this. You tell your friend that you offered them a place trying to help, but it's not working. Either she stops bringing hell into the home if she is out. He can stay if he wants. She can always go back home. I know she probably can't control herself, but you can control your environment. If her boyfriend can't understand, then it may be time to sever that relationship also. Maybe it will be a wake-up call for him. It's definitely at the point where severing the relationship is necessary. Unfortunately, this is the first long-term relationship he's ever had, so he has very little to compare with for what a healthy relationship looks like. Their life is very enmeshed at this point and he has zero backbone for confrontation or standing up to someone who loses their temper. Unfortunately, he supports her without question, no matter what, and behaves a lot like a doormat. It ends up enabling her behavior further. They both gotta go. If you haven't already, As his friend, tell him this shit. It's honestly sad and pathetic, and it will lead to his ruin unless he wises up and grows a backbone. He needs to get the fuck rid of her. I mentioned this to someone else, but this is his first long-term relationship, and due to his own issues with fear of confrontation, he has defaulted to automatically supporting her in everything and never standing up for himself or anyone else because he also fears her temper. Their lives are massively enmeshed though, and he fears the fallout, understandably, of the end of their relationship. This has resulted in him having zero backbone, and he ends up further enabling her behavior. It's honestly sad, and a bunch of us are horrified by the level of Stockholm Syndrome that is going on. He doesn't want to hear it though, because again, that would mean standing up for himself, and that would mean becoming the primary target of her temper for who knows how long and who knows how far she'll go. Oh good lord. Sounds like someone who needs to be videotaped and then have that tape shown to her so she can see what she looks like when she's out of control. You might want to just start pulling your phone out whenever she goes off and start taping. When she asks what you're doing, say, "I'm making a documentary about psychotic people." Or the kinder, "I don't think you hear yourself sometimes, so I'm taping you so you can watch it when you calm down and see what it's like to have to listen to you." But maybe use an old backup phone if you have one, because she sounds like the type to grab yours and throw it across the room. Unfortunately, I am neither the landlord or the sole leaseholder. We have special arrangements with the landlord, who operates part of his business in the basement. We each signed individual month-to-month leases for the rooms, but not the house. I have known the landlords for many years, and moved these people in last year in October. I have lived here for 3 years. I held out for as long as possible trying to mediate and settle things from within, but realized recently that it's just untenable and brought up the issues to the landlord. Fortunately, they posted on Facebook that they are looking for housing within the next 2 months, so hopefully it will self-correct and they will GTFO. It has been extremely difficult behavior, not just to handle for any extended amount of time. My mental health is in tatters trying to deal with it in a mature way and not get triggered, but like you said, it's so difficult to explain. This behavior usually goes hand in hand with gaslighting tactics, where the person will blame you for any altercation that occurred, and won't in any way take any responsibility for any part they played. It doesn't matter if you kept your cool or not. I most recently walked away from an unsafe and emotionally charged conversation where this person was going off about my partner like they were dog shit, right in front of me. I was keeping my cool and trying to play it neutral and not trigger anyone, and still got the anger turned on me. Was literally saying I just wanted to de-escalate and have everyone get along, and that I'm not going to lose my cool, and this person immediately jumps to calling me domineering and aggressive. Like, what? I had just said I wouldn't lose my cool, but my composure did crack, and as a result I had a really bad panic attack. I walked away, as per the advice of my therapist and parents and friends, in moments when I might feel that emotional trigger point. I was still labeled as the bad guy for walking away from a safe space. If you are attacking someone, it is no longer a safe space for them. Especially if you can't afterward reflect and wonder what you might have said to make them so upset they had to walk away. The gaslighting is hard to untangle and even harder to explain to someone else. This sounds exactly like my mother's recent ex-partner, except you articulated it perfectly and in a way I couldn't. The guy is an absolute cunt, and the only reason I haven't smashed his head in already is for the sake of my mother. He was rage-inducingly stupid, gaslighting behavior towards my mother, inconsolable when angry, extremely petty and constantly whiny. Everything was everyone else's fault, and he never ever took responsibility for anything he did wrong or for his shitty life, would smash things up and throw hissy fits to get his way, emotionally manipulative, a liar and a druggie and an alcoholic, stealing my mother's meds to get high, would threaten violence during an argument as a last resort but rarely ever followed through. And if you had a point to make or a criticism that he desperately needs to hear, his only tactics were to get louder and louder, talk and shout over you, or threaten you. The guy is honestly a total piece of shit, but he's been around for so long now that the majority of the family just tolerates him, and my mother is older than him, and I think feels she depends on him for a lot of things now her health is failing. It's toxic as fuck. I'm the only one in the family that can't actually stand the fucking guy, and who sees through his shit, and is willing to stand up to him. But every time I've done that, I've been ousted by my family. Got this email today at work. TLDR. Client refused delivery of table due to finish not looking the same as her table in her other home. It's noted in item description that no two tables will be the same due to wood product that is used for production. Client is demanding we send out another table immediately to arrive by the end of the week that is a closer finish to the pictures online. Client will be leaving their summer home this weekend until next season and will need this table to arrive prior to her departure.